Hi everyone. I hope you're enjoying MagentoLive India first ever event. We kind of very excited to be here, and I really like all session and people meet, and I wish we have more time to talk with all of you. So I think it's going to be the last technical session, and I'm going with this presentation in different countries. So basically, I'm a developer myself. We develop Magento 2, and we want to share experience. And dev experience, which is like developer in full sense, it's a very important part of entire, my career on every developer. Like we not just do some development. We're trying to enjoy what we're doing and definitely get money out of it at some point. So, but we're trying to analyze, when we do development on Magento 2, we're trying to analyze what kind of stages developer going through. Yeah, right slide. So there is I would say it's a little bit extended, maybe more simplified, but this kind of stages of development experience, which we think everyone experience, right? Discover, install, design, develop, integrate, deploy, engage, maintain, and monetize at some point. So I want to go through a few of those and just to explain and share what Magento doing, what we're doing in order to invest in this area. So first one is discover. So if you're new for Magento 2, you definitely want to have documentation. You want to understand what it is and basically get sense what you're going to deal with before you're going to start. So that's, we did a lot of investment in documentation. So Magento DevDocs is the biggest difference between Magento 1 and Magento 2. So in Magento 1, we had documentation nearby zero. Right now, we have tons of documentation we put in, and most important part is in GitHub, so it's publicly available, it's open source, and community also contributes in this documentation. So for us, I'm going to say, if you start working with Magento, or maybe you're already working, that's literally your target point. That's every day you need to go scan and see what happens there. Another is forums. We have more than 200,000 registered people in our forums, and that's where discussion happens when we have answer question, people communicate, provide some ideas, share some ideas. So that's another point which supported and hosted by us, and Sherry, who's here, she managed it, and she's doing a pretty good job, to keep this content somehow organized. I don't know how she's doing, but it's pretty awesome. Another is tech resources. That's where our bulletins, some files, links you're gonna find. Also, nice to check and see what publishing there. For more advanced, we have Magento U, so umagento.com website. So we have this paid trainings. In fact, sometimes we do it for free, so I would subscribe for this PHC because before New Year, we announced in 2 months it was free trainings. Everyone can subscribe and go through. Yeah, maybe we're going to do it again. I don't know, but I would recommend to go. So also we have some video, training video in the same site. And last but not least is GitHub. It's I would say a little bit more advanced development, but that's where me and my team spending a lot of time going through code, communicate through GitHub issues, working through pull requests, show some stuff, and I will share a little bit later. But GitHub is where you see real source. And we commit every day. We do tons of changes. So if you have extensions, you want to go and check how your extension works with this, because it's going to be next release at some point. So next is installation. And it was interesting because when we released Magento 2, it was a lot of feedback about installation. It's very hard to install. We have a lot of new tools embedded, like Varnish, etc. And we start to analyze what we can improve, how we can make installation for a regular developer easy. And basically, we want to provide some tool which will let developers just run some command and they have everything. Entire code, database, install it, debugger, etc., etc. And that's where we put a lot of our efforts, investment in DevBox. So it's right now located in tech resources you can find there. But it's fun tool which allow you basically and generate, install file, and I forgot to mention, it uses Docker container, so it's modern technology. When we split, we have the 2 containers, which one running for web server, another for MySQL. It's basically very seamless. You install Docker on your laptop and download our script, run it, and voila, you have entire Magento 2 running. Fun part of it, you can use existing installation, or you can install from scratch. Right now, we support Windows and macOS, and considering to invest in Linux in the future, but you have Magento credentials, you log, and if even you have enterprise license, it's going to be downloaded, and you can go. Interesting part of it, you can use more advanced settings, like install RabbitMQ for enterprise, Redis, use Varnish, or Elasticsearch. So basically, this box will configure everything for you, spin up these instances, and you're going to have running environment in your local machine with all already set up configured, and you basically need to just start to change code and do development. I really recommend use it. I use it myself. There is debate between Docker and Varnish always, but this tool works, and we keep improving it. Another way how you can install is Cloud Enterprise Edition. Definitely it's for cloud clients, but that's how that's how we look into our experience with DevBox. You just want to create project, and that's how it works right now in Magento Cloud. You put name of project, define it's going to be new site, or you have existing GitHub account with some sources. You put your credentials from Magento.com site in order to associate all plugins, everything what you need to be installed. Click, and that's it. So everything else is going to be handled by cloud. We use platform as such technology, so all instances spin on servers. So it basically do everything for you. You just, by the end of the day, you have URL, which you can connect by SSH, whatever, and check already your website. So definitely we have a more classic way to install it. I would recommend it Composer. That's where we publish our releases. GitHub, it's development, it's live. We don't recommend for production. It's more if you want to contribute or want some advanced access to our code. And definitely tech resources, you can download zip file, which basically already ran Composer packages together. Anyway, so but you discover it, you do the installation. Next, you want do development. And there is interesting changes happening in Magento, because what we did, like for the last 2 years, we documented our own internal wiki. We're trying to, combine it in some guidelines, in some practices, and we spent a lot of efforts and time in order to do it. And earlier today, Alexei is sharing our backward compatibility policy. So what we did, and it's I'm going to forward you again to DevBox. Most recently, we published technical guidelines. So it's basically a book with the rules how you need to do development for Magento. It's covered a lot of areas. It's like basic programming principle for Magento 2, dependency injection, intercepts or application layers. So it's team of architects, and now in Magento put tons of efforts in order to combine it, clean up, and publish. So if you're Magento 2 developer or claim yourself Magento 2 developer, you have to read it. You have to know it exactly. Only one difference: you may not find all solutions implemented in Magento 2. So we outlined a desirable state of Magento is that when you create some extensions, you need to follow this practice. You may find in Magento some modules, core modules, which not follow this practice, but it's just because it's legacy. We will come up with it, but for now, it's your guideline. It's if you start development, you're going to go through this website. Next is developer blog. Also, we published it recently. That's where our architects, myself, Ben, we post some information which we think useful and want to share. And one of the examples, like it was posted in February by one of our architects about virtual type naming convention, which which bring a lot of developers from community to communicate and ask questions, provide feedback, and we use this feedback to accommodate in future releases. So DevBlog, I recommend again follow it. Some interesting stuff come up, some updates, and they come in from architects majority. So it means we're going to publish something which we want to share with you and have its feedback. And you can literally contact any of us if you have some ideas also to publish there. Integrate. So if you're extension developers, you want to somehow to publish or use already extensions, right? That's where we have marketplace. So it's straightforward, it's easy. Maybe it's not easy to submit extension. We pass on quality checks. We keep, we're improving it, but idea of a marketplace, you basically go through, find extension you need, buy it, or it's for free, you're going to be just virtual buy-in for $0 amount. By end of this session, you have associated extension with your account in Magento, and you can do composer install, and its extension is going to be installed automatically. The same way you can publish your extension, everyone can use it. So we want to make this seamless. We don't want like you to go to some website, download some files, and think about, as Talish mentioned, is it secure or not? So because all extensions from our marketplace is validated by Magento, I mean, pass all security checks and et cetera, et cetera. So it's like safe place to go to surf for particular extensions you're interested in. Deploy. It's interesting and controversial topic. When we launch Magento Cloud, we start experience some, I would say, from first person, pains and deploying Magento in different environments. Because with the platform stage, we use AWS, we use some read-only file system, and with generation contact, it became impossible to do. So we keep improving, and we did a lot already changes, and we're still doing changes in deployment. But I want you to, I don't know, memorize this slide. We have 3 environments which we're supposed to do. Development. It's your sandbox. If you're a developer, you change code, you use some kind of database, you're free to do whatever you want. And nobody, gonna blame you if you're gonna break something. Next environment, staging and production. These 2 environments work together. Everything what's related to static content, and compilation, DI generation should happen on staging only. You need to do all, and staging, it should be like almost replica of production, right? In terms of code and all sources and resources in terms of files. You generate everything on staging. And as soon as it's ready, you push it as already generated code to production. On production, only what happens is install or upgrade database, because production database is not linked. But all files should be pre-generated in staging and pushed different ways, like rsync or you use Git or whatever you're using. So, and when I showed this presentation, and people said, "Oh, I do," and it was 3 bars. Well, when I do Magento install upgrade, I set up upgrade, it's launched, and clean up entire cache. So check documentation, and it's published in DevDocs. When you do setup upgrade, there is flags, -- keep static content, or I think yes, keep static content names. So it means when it's going to be upgraded, it will not touch already generated static content. And that's what you can do in launch on production in order just to upgrade schema. So it's possible. That's what we're doing, and sometimes people not taking attention on documentation changes. So that's how you need to approach deployment. Engage. That's easy. So I'm going to forward again a forum. That's where communication happens. There is Stock Exchange, there is other, not Magento hosted or driven. There is Slack channel, my chat, so where people communicate. So that's where you can do. I mean, I published this slide. It's more like for people different countries, but there's tons of events which Magento do, like MagentoLive, and we're happy to be in India first time, and we're going to next year. But there is tons of different events which we're going and support, like Meet Magento Association do tons of events around the world. Participate. You have meetups, and I heard a lot of people have meetups in different cities here. Do it. So sharing, communication, it's most important. That's how you can learn. That's how you can share your experiences. That's how it can bring in other levels, like I don't know, escalate to Magento teams and core. So don't be afraid. Do it and engage with each other. Maintain and monetize. I will not cover this topic, but maintain. You need to be aware of your code. So we do major releases. We do we do minor releases. What you need to do is make sure your code, your extension, your website always up to date. We put a lot of publicly available tools like Travis CI, right? We use it in GitHub, so you can utilize it because it's for free. It's basically CI/CD container. Test your code whenever you do trigger automatic builds, and yeah, monetize is up to you. It's how you're gonna do your business on your money. So that's conclude, technical part of, I assume, developer experience, but it's not stopping with this. That's why we Magento decided we need to fund this community engineering, and we took it very seriously, because I was like for 3 years director of Magento 2 development. So I took Magento with one small team, and we released it with 100 people, actually, in my team. And beginning of this year, I moved to new role with new team. Actually, it's old team, but it's much smaller, called community engineering. When we say, like, we already released Magento 2.1. Let's go to community. Let's go and start developing together with all of you. So we put 3 goals for this team. First is simple, enable community, developer community. So share, explain, show, answer, engage, just to let you feel you don't use Magento. You can develop Magento, and you can develop with us. Second goal is openness and transparency. That's why we publish our dev tools, technical guidelines, backward compatibility. Before it was completely internal documentation, which we used, and right now our goal and my team goal just to explore it to everyone, just share, put on our website, and always finger point. Have you read this? Have you known this? So literally read the docs, and we're going to do more and more publication. We're going to do some webinars where we're going to involve architects from our site and share some news. And contribution, so that's where I'm going to talk a little bit later, but we want to make your contribution into core much easier, seamless, and educate you to do it with us together. So you saw the slide on main stage. I will not stop. It's our team. 4 of us here. Is a guy on the middle, as you see by picture. Not here, but anyway, there's people, there's Twitters, there's GitHub accounts, contact, engage, ask questions. Don't be afraid. We always respond to them. I mean, it's only 5 of us, and we have covered the entire world. But there's people, if you don't have feedback from any one of those, let me know. So we're going to fix it anyway. So what we have done so far in terms of engagement. So first we started with GitHub. We have a lot of pull requests. We have people interested to contribute we didn't do. So it starts in February. By today, with this small team, we process more than 500 pull requests. So if you consider it 500 contributions from, I don't know how many, but close the same number, different developers. We start engagement, answer question, close. We merged more than 320 pull requests, and it's amazing because it's February, March, right, and April, 3 months. So it means each month we had more than 100 pull requests merged. So if you consider like in a week, it's like 30 changes. So every day is 6. So every day we can always merge and working week. We merge 6 pull requests. It's like 6 improvements, 6 bug fixes, or some tunings on Magento. And it's growing and growing, because for the same period, we have 300 new contributions. And I mean, I encourage everyone, you do contribution. If you see something you want to change, doesn't something work? Maybe something local even for your market if you're working with Indian merchant. Because if Magento not tuned or doesn't work with something in local, that's good contribution way. Say, make Magento be more universal. Another way how you can contribute, it's help prioritize issues. Right now we have like 2,000 plus issues logged. Problem with these issues, we spent a lot of time, and half of them, or I don't know, maybe even more, it's not a real issue. It's just somebody misconfigured something, somebody used Magento in the wrong way. But for us, it's even spend time on it, it's required a lot of efforts. And think about, we have about 200,000 developers. Let's say a small part of them contributing and create issues. We have only right now no more than 100 developers, engineers in Magento. Only half of them, works with GitHub, and only 5 of us in our team, do real stuff like checking. And we cannot accommodate such many. So we want community, and that's when we introduce this voting. We ask community to prioritize this issue. Just use a vote, like thumb up, on issues which you think really, annoying. And as many issues going to be, voted, we're going to look on top 20 to, accommodating patch release. So maybe some community going to develop. So that's how you're going to help us and help yourself, to make the fixes delivered in Magento faster. And real fixes. Don't spend time on something, which not important. In GitHub, you can see pull requests. Right now, we open everything. There is project in GitHub. You can go in Magento to GitHub page, and there is project tab, and you will see what happened with pull request. We just open all entire process, all steps, and you can see if you create pull request, you can see, in which status it is. It's like to do, or maybe it's already declined, whatever. Next is contribution days. It's a very fun part, and which I really enjoy. We did it already a few in different parts of world, like it was in Croatia, it was in Italy, it was in Las Vegas and Imagine. It's basically chance to work with our team, with us, and do development together for Magento 2. Do contribution, learn how it is. So if you always thought like Magento 2 developers is something from, I don't know, space, they do some crazy stuff, they create Magento, you're going to realize with simple people like you, we like living like you, we thinking like you, and our goal is just to bring you on the table and just let you feel what would be Magento 2 core developer. And as soon as you're going to learn, we expect you to keep going and do this stuff, share with everyone else. We want to keep quality of development in Magento high. And yeah, that's why we have here in India to this contribution. One is sold out. Sold out is loud because it's free. Thanks for PayPal. They let us host. They hosting us in their office. So Mangalore is going to be tomorrow. But there is more spots available for Chennai, which is going to be on Friday. If you can do it, please sign up, come, and it's going to be really fun. There is more fun part. We launched, I don't know how many months ago. It's up for grabs. It's basically the features. It's not already bugs. It's not something logged. It's something community and we as a core team and product team in Magento decided we won't have this feature, but in our roadmap, it's right now a nice have. It means we focus on something more important. But this is also cool stuff, and if somebody wants to pick up and contribute with sharing this, it's basically our backlog, if you wish. And we open it, and actually in 1 day, we already have 4 pull requests created, so 4 features delivered by community developers. And you see like 4 in progress, but maybe it's already more. It's also open in GitHub, you can go with this project, or maybe you can submit some tickets, say, oh, these improvements. Again, I'm going to create an example like some localization stuff for local market. Maybe Magento doesn't support some, and we have like, I talked with people from Japan, and they have validation of address completely different than we implemented at Magento, and they say like, it doesn't fit our rules. And we said, oh, we can do this in a create pull request. So the same, you can create some issue and say that's something going to be cool and going to allow us to, distribute Magento in our market. Do it. So another part what we made, we started to define community contributors, and we call it moderators, contributors. So we just bring top talents from community, and it can be any of you if you're interested in and you did some contribution already. And it defines these people who did a lot of contribution in Magento. They're smart, they engage with everyone, and we contacted, and basically I met with all of them and asked, guys, can you join our team, community engineering team? Be like freelance, community moderator. It means they do it for free, just to understand what it means. But what we did, we just opened all our internal tools. We provided them account to Magento internal CI/CD environment, all our documentation, everything, and we granted them right to merge pull request. So what happens, and you're going to consider, community start create issues, prioritize these issues. Community start create pull request, fix and deliver this issue improvements. Also, we have up for grabs ideas coming from community and from us. Also, community start do it. And with these guys, they start merges. So we as Magento right now even stepping aside and saying, okay, everything literally right now driven by community. We're just helping to provide all tools, all information required for to do it happen. And we have like top contributors, and these guys, if you're interested at some point, you can contact me. It doesn't mean we're gonna, grant everything right, but we can start discussion. And literally everyone can do it. And we're gonna bring more and more community gatekeepers. And I would like to have, community moderators in India. So let me know if you're interested and you did already this in past or you're willing to do it. And we have more stuff, right? We're going to do webinars, as I mentioned. We're going to do more development together with community. We're going to provide new ideas and share them. We're going to do more events, more contribution days. I hope we're going to do more contribution days even here in India soon because we wanted to go some other places, but for now we have limited time. But Anyway, that's something what I want to share with you. Just my message to you, don't stand aside. Don't treat Magento as something, I don't know, stranger. It's like not you. If you work with Magento, if you do development with Magento, be part of this community, be part of Magento, and it's easy right now. And let us know, talk with me, with my team, and everything is possible. All ideas, doable. With this, we have 4 minutes left before final session. Questions? I have guys at the mics.
Hi, so this is related to the deployment. You mentioned the idea of compiling and then the static content deploy and then the upgrade on staging environment, and not to do it on the production, just do the upgrade and then move the files from the staging environment to the production environment. So what are all files or folders we need to copy? Is it where di, where view processed, then pub directory, and then where generation, or I missed any other files, folders?
So var generation, and right now it's not var generation, if you notice, and that's version generation going upper. So we don't put anymore in var, because var is like my cache and login stuff, which can be changed. So all information we generated, we put in upper level. That's where you already can have separate folder, which you can add and copy or whatever, how you think with production do. Because var folder is for content which changing.
Right.
So, and that's how we can avoid. That's the reason we move it out.
So what version we moved that out on Magento 2.1.6?
So it's like to develop right now, or we have 2.1.5, 2.1.4?
Yeah, I think 2.1.5 only has the copyright changes, so I don't believe that has anything to
So
do with
line is going to be, so yeah, thanks for the question. I already mixed up with everything. So it's definitely in develop. I need to check if we distribute it in patch release, but most likely it will go to patch release. But this is how we work, because we have cloud edition, and maybe check last patch release. It should be there.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
More questions? Come on, I was so bored. Nobody wants to ask questions.
Hi, Max.
Hi.
Nirmal here. I have 2 questions.
Okay.
One related to DevBox. I've installed DevBox on Mac, and I was trying to set up static deploy. There were no commands as such from DevBox perspective. I mean, I had to kind of Docker compose, exec, and then log into a Docker container and then run those commands. It was very slow. I mean, was there any reason why it was slow? I have a 16 GB RAM on my machine, but still it was taking a long time to deploy the static content.
So when it was like, when last time you tried it? 2 days ago. Yeah. Interesting. I don't know, I ran it on my Mac and 2 instances, and it's much faster. I don't know what's the changes. We had problem in past because we use sync tool provided by Docker, which is very low. We replace it with, I don't remember the name, it's open source tool, which is much faster. We keep going. I was on Docker conference recently, and I was talking with Docker developers. So there is one niche logo in Docker for exactly what you're saying, like syncing files between container and your local environment. And they plan to fix it soon. So it's not like Magento. It's not because of Magento something. It's just how Docker work on synchronization, folders between your environment and container. That's something we cannot control, but we're trying to play different rules. And it's more or less like working well. We try it. A lot of developers already try it, and we keep improving. But we cannot change what we not control. But we're trying to find better solution.
Thank you. The second question was basically on these community extensions on the marketplace. I've tried few of them, especially the GTM and a few other extensions. When I was trying to use the command composer require and the package name, few of them are not available in package.org. It's
So
quite,
when you go through all these checks and do this checkout process, you need to use your credentials when you have the hash log and something. So that's how it's associated with your credential in Marketplace. So make sure you have OAuth JSON file with your credential locally. So when you do Composer install, it's use this credential to get it.
I did that. I have that.
Okay, let's talk then afterward. I'm sorry, I need to go. There is a guy who's going to answer your question. Find him afterwards. Sorry, I'm out of time because it's going to be general session closing. I'm still here. Find me, talk with me, and thank you very much.